Long before Julius Caesar became the most famous Roman in history, Rome itself was already the dominant power of the Mediterranean. By the 1st century BC, the Roman Republic controlled vast territories, stretching from Spain to Greece. Wealth flowed into Rome from every corner of the known world. But beneath its power and prosperity, the Republic was deeply divided. The rich grew richer. The poor grew poorer. Political corruption spread throughout the government. Powerful senators fought constantly for influence and control. Many believed the Republic was slowly collapsing from within. It was during this age of chaos that a child named Gaius Julius Caesar was born. Caesar entered the world in 100 BC into the ancient Julian family. The Julii were one of Rome's oldest noble families. They claimed descent from Iulus, the son of the Trojan hero Aeneas, and through him they claimed divine ancestry from the goddess Venus herself. Yet, despite their noble name, Caesar's family was not among Rome's wealthiest elites. They possessed prestige but lacked the immense fortunes enjoyed by many rival families. As a young boy, Caesar grew up witnessing political turmoil and violence. Rome was locked in bitter power struggles. Generals increasingly used armies to gain political influence. Civil war seemed to threaten the Republic at every turn. One of the most powerful men in Rome at the time was Lucius Cornelius Sulla, a ruthless military commander who seized power and declared himself dictator. Sulla viewed Caesar's family as political enemies. The danger became even greater when Caesar married Cornelia, the daughter of one of Sulla's rivals. The dictator ordered Caesar to divorce her. Caesar refused. The decision nearly cost him his life. Sulla stripped him of his inheritance and ordered his arrest. For months, Caesar lived as a fugitive, hiding from soldiers who searched for him across Italy. Eventually, influential friends convinced Sulla to spare the young nobleman. According to ancient accounts, Sulla reluctantly agreed, warning, "In this Caesar there are many Mariuses." It was a prophecy that would prove remarkably accurate. After escaping danger, Caesar left Rome and joined the army. Military service offered ambitious young Romans a path to glory and advancement. Caesar quickly distinguished himself through courage and determination. During the siege of Mytilene, he fought bravely enough to receive the civic crown, one of Rome's highest military honors. His reputation began to grow. But Caesar's greatest weapons were not his sword or military skill. They were his intelligence, ambition, and charisma. He possessed a rare ability to inspire loyalty in both soldiers and civilians. People listened when he spoke. They followed when he led, and they remembered him long after he left. Years later, while traveling across the Mediterranean, Caesar encountered another life-threatening challenge. His ship was captured by pirates. The pirates demanded a ransom for his release. When they announced the amount, Caesar reportedly laughed. He told them they clearly didn't know who he was. He insisted they demand a much larger ransom. For weeks, he lived among his captors, almost as their equal. He joked with them, ordered them around, even participated in their games. But he repeatedly warned them, "Once I am free, I will return and crucify every one of you." The pirates laughed. They believed it was merely a joke. They were wrong. After his ransom was paid and he was released, Caesar immediately raised a small fleet. He hunted down the pirates, captured them, and fulfilled his promise. Every pirate was executed. The incident revealed a trait that would define Caesar throughout his life. He never forgot an insult, and he never abandoned a goal once he set his mind upon it. Returning to Rome, Caesar entered politics. The Republic's political system was fiercely competitive. Success required money, influence, and powerful allies. Caesar possessed little money, but enormous ambition. He spent lavishly to gain public support. He organized spectacular games and public events. He borrowed enormous sums from wealthy creditors. His debts became legendary, yet every gamble increased his popularity. By his late 30s, Caesar had become one of Rome's rising political stars. But his true rise to power was only beginning. Soon, he would form an alliance with two of the most powerful men in the Roman world, an alliance that would change Roman history forever, and eventually lead Julius Caesar to conquer Gaul, cross the Rubicon, and bring down the Roman Republic itself. By 60 BC, Julius Caesar had become one of the most ambitious politicians in Rome. But ambition alone was not enough. To dominate Roman politics, he needed powerful allies. At the time, two men stood above all others. One was Marcus Licinius Crassus, the richest man in Rome. The other was Gnaeus Pompeius Magnus, better known as Pompey the Great, Rome's most celebrated general. Although the two men disliked each other, Caesar convinced them to work together. The secret alliance became known as the First Triumvirate. Together, the three men controlled Roman politics. With their support, Caesar was elected consul in 59 BC, the highest office in the Republic. But Caesar wanted something greater than political power. He wanted military glory, the kind of glory that could make him immortal. The following year, he received command of several Roman provinces north of Italy. Among them was Gaul, a vast region covering much of modern France, Belgium, and parts of Germany. At first, the assignment seemed ordinary, but Caesar saw an opportunity, a chance to build wealth, a chance to gain fame, and a chance to create an army personally loyal to him. In 58 BC, the opportunity arrived. A large Celtic tribe known as the Helvetii attempted to migrate through Roman territory. Caesar intervened. He defeated them in battle and forced them back home. The victory increased his prestige. More importantly, it gave him an excuse to continue military operations throughout Gaul. Over the next several years, Caesar launched campaign after campaign. His legions marched across forests, rivers, mountains, and open plains. One by one, powerful tribes fell before Rome. The Belgae were defeated. The Aquitani were conquered. The Nervii nearly destroyed Caesar's army during a surprise attack. But Caesar personally entered the fighting and inspired his men to victory. His soldiers began to worship him. They admired his courage. Unlike many Roman commanders, Caesar often fought close to the front lines. He shared hardships with his troops. He marched beside them, ate with them, and rewarded bravery generously. The bond between Caesar and his army became unbreakable. As his conquests expanded, Caesar pushed beyond territory no Roman army had ever entered. In 55 BC, he built a massive wooden bridge across the Rhine River. Then he marched into Germania. Although he stayed only briefly, the message was clear. Rome could strike anywhere. Not satisfied, Caesar turned his attention toward Britain, a mysterious island beyond the sea. Few Romans had ever seen it. Crossing the English Channel, Caesar became the first Roman commander to invade Britain. The campaigns achieved limited military success, but politically, they were a triumph. Back in Rome, people were amazed. Caesar had reached lands that many considered the edge of the world. His fame soared to unprecedented heights. Yet while Caesar conquered abroad, political tensions grew at home. The alliance that had protected him was beginning to crumble. In 53 BC, Crassus was killed during a disastrous campaign against Parthia. The First Triumvirate effectively collapsed. Soon afterward, Caesar's daughter, Julia, died. She had been married to Pompey and served as an important bond between the two leaders. Without her, relations deteriorated rapidly. Pompey drifted closer to the Senate. Many senators feared Caesar's growing popularity.
his military successes, his enormous wealth, and above all, the loyalty of his veteran legions. To them, Caesar was becoming too powerful. While Rome's politicians argued, a final challenge emerged in Gaul. A charismatic young chieftain named Vercingetorix united many Celtic tribes against Roman rule. For the first time, nearly all Gaul rose in rebellion. It was Caesar's greatest test. The rebellion spread rapidly. Roman garrisons were attacked, supply lines were threatened, entire regions erupted into war. Many believed Caesar's conquest was about to collapse. But Caesar moved with extraordinary speed. Even during winter, when armies normally remained inactive, he launched daring operations. He crossed snow-covered mountains, surprised enemy forces, and regained the initiative. The conflict reached its climax at Alesia in 52 BC. Vercingetorix and his army retreated into a massive hilltop fortress. Caesar surrounded them.
Then he ordered one of the most remarkable engineering projects in military history. His soldiers built enormous fortifications around the city, miles of walls, watchtowers, trenches, and defensive obstacles. But the situation soon became desperate. A huge Gallic relief army arrived to rescue Vercingetorix. Suddenly, Caesar's forces were trapped between two enemies, one inside the city, one outside. It was one of the most dangerous moments of his entire career. For days, fierce fighting raged across the battlefield. Wave after wave of Gallic warriors attacked Roman defenses. At times, the Roman lines nearly collapsed. But Caesar remained calm, moving wherever danger was greatest, encouraging his soldiers, personally leading counterattacks. Finally, the Roman defenses held. The relief army broke. The siege was won. Vercingetorix surrendered. According to tradition, the defeated leader rode out of Alesia on horseback. He laid down his weapons at Caesar's feet and accepted defeat. The conquest of Gaul was complete. Caesar had added millions of people to Rome's empire, won countless victories, and created one of the most experienced armies in the ancient world. But while he celebrated triumph abroad, his enemies in Rome were preparing for confrontation. The Senate demanded that Caesar surrender his command and return as a private citizen. Caesar knew what that meant. Without his army, he could be prosecuted, his career destroyed, perhaps even killed. A choice now stood before him: obey the Senate or march on Rome itself. Soon, Julius Caesar would make a decision that would change history forever. A decision remembered by one name: the crossing of the Rubicon. By 49 BC, Julius Caesar stood at the edge of a decision that would change history forever. The Roman Senate had ordered him to surrender his army and return to Rome as a private citizen. Many senators feared his growing power. They feared his popularity, and most of all, they feared his loyal legions. Caesar knew exactly what awaited him if he obeyed: trials, humiliation, perhaps death. For months, negotiations failed. The Republic was heading toward a crisis. Finally, Caesar made his choice. Standing beside a small river called the Rubicon, which marked the boundary of his province, he paused. Roman law forbade any general from bringing an army into Italy. Crossing that river with troops meant rebellion. It meant civil war.
It meant there was no turning back. According to legend, Caesar looked toward his men and declared, "The die is cast." Then he crossed the Rubicon. Civil war had begun. News of Caesar's advance spread panic throughout Rome. Many senators fled. Even Pompey the Great, once Caesar's ally and now his greatest rival, abandoned the city. Caesar entered Rome without resistance, but he knew the war was far from over. Pompey still commanded powerful armies across the eastern Mediterranean. The two greatest men in Rome were now on a course collision. For months, Caesar pursued Pompey across the empire. The decisive confrontation came in 48 BC at the Battle of Pharsalus in Greece. Pompey's army outnumbered Caesar's forces. Many believed Caesar's defeat was inevitable. Yet, once again, Caesar proved why he was one of history's greatest commanders. Anticipating Pompey's cavalry attack, he secretly positioned additional infantry behind his lines. When Pompey's horsemen charged, Caesar's hidden troops struck unexpectedly. The cavalry broke, panic spread. The entire Pompeian army collapsed. Another impossible victory belonged to Caesar. Pompey fled to Egypt. Hoping to gain Caesar's favor, Egyptian officials murdered Pompey upon his arrival. When Caesar reached Egypt and was presented with Pompey's severed head, he was reportedly horrified. Despite their rivalry, Pompey had once been his friend, and he was still a Roman. Caesar ordered proper honors for his fallen enemy. But Egypt would soon introduce Caesar to another figure who would shape his destiny. Her name was Cleopatra. Young, intelligent, ambitious, and determined to secure her throne. According to tradition, Cleopatra secretly entered Caesar's residence hidden inside a rolled carpet. When the carpet was opened, the young queen emerged before him. The encounter changed history. Caesar supported Cleopatra's claim to power.
A civil war erupted inside Egypt. After months of fighting, Caesar emerged victorious. Cleopatra became queen, and soon she and Caesar became lovers. Together, they had a son known as Caesarion. Meanwhile, back in Rome, Caesar's enemies continued resisting. For years, he campaigned across Africa and Spain, crushing the last opposition. One by one, his rivals were defeated. At last, the civil war ended. Caesar returned to Rome as the undisputed master of the Roman world. The Republic still existed in name, but everyone knew where real power now rested, with Julius Caesar. The Senate granted him unprecedented honors. His statues appeared across the city. His image was placed on coins. He was named dictator for 10 years, then dictator for life. He launched ambitious reforms. He reorganized government, reduced corruption, expanded citizenship, founded colonies for veterans, and introduced the Julian calendar, whose influence remains visible even today. Many ordinary Romans admired him, but others grew increasingly alarmed. To his supporters, Caesar was saving Rome. To his enemies, he was destroying the Republic. Rumors spread that he wanted to become king. For Romans, the word king was deeply hated.
Their ancestors had overthrown monarchy centuries earlier. Now many senators feared Caesar intended to bring it back. A conspiracy began to form. Among its leaders were Cassius and Brutus. Brutus was especially significant. Caesar trusted him deeply. Some even considered him almost a son. More than 60 senators joined the plot. Their goal was simple: kill Caesar, save the Republic. On the morning of March 15, 44 BC, the Ides of March, Caesar entered the Senate House. Several warnings had reached him beforehand. Friends urged him to stay home. A soothsayer had famously warned him, "Beware the Ides of March," but Caesar ignored them. As the meeting began, conspirators surrounded him. Suddenly, one senator grabbed his toga, another drew a dagger. Then chaos erupted. Blade after blade struck the dictator. Caesar fought back at first. Then he saw Brutus among the attackers, the man he trusted, the man he never expected to betray him. According to tradition, Caesar uttered the famous words, "Et tu, Brute."
"You too, Brutus?" Moments later, Julius Caesar collapsed beneath the statue of Pompey. He had been stabbed 23 times. The greatest Roman of his age was dead. The conspirators believed they had saved the Republic. Instead, they had destroyed it. Rome descended into chaos once again. Civil war returned. Caesar's adopted heir, A young man named Octavian joined forces with Mark Antony to avenge him. Brutus and Cassius were defeated. The Republic never recovered. Years later, Octavian became Augustus, the first Roman emperor. The Roman Empire had begun, and in many ways, Julius Caesar had made it possible. More than 2,000 years later, his name remains legendary. His military campaigns are still studied, his political reforms are still remembered, and his ambition continues to fascinate the world. He rose from a troubled young nobleman to become the most powerful man in Rome. He conquered nations, destroyed the Republic, and reshaped history forever. Few names echo through time as powerfully as his.